Morning, Rinpoche. Hi, everyone. So we have some questions from Zoom. And can I start? Can we say that abiding in meditation is a state free of self-clinging?
Maybe, but really it's difficult.
Next question from Valerie. Dear Rinpoche, upon what you're teaching regarding the Bardo at the beginning of the teaching, can you explain how we are supposed to go through 49 days of different steps? Can that be just a single moment of our consciousness?
That one is coming tomorrow. From tomorrow onwards, we will be. I was assuming that when people want to hear about the Bardo, they're usually talking about this one particular Bardo. So we will talk about that.
Is Bardo the same as Dhyana?
That's a tricky question. Yes and no. Actually, one could say, let's be in the Bardo. You know, that's actually quite a good question. So I will begin the next session with this question. So can we skip to the next question?
Which two lineages that Rinpoche had mentioned on Bardo teaching?
I was just saying I'm using Tsele Natsok Rangdrol's text, which explains 4 Bardo very extensively. But I'm also using Kyabje Dudjom Rinpoche's teachings. So I guess both come from Nyingma tradition.
Thank you, Rinpoche. One more question from Angela. Rinpoche, you mentioned, is this all there is to life? I am in the Bardo to choose between doing a 3-year retreat or try the monastic path or go back to work. How to choose? I want to make best use of precious human life.
I think do both. I would say both. But maybe do what was the 2 choice? The 3 years
Between a 3-year retreat or try the monastic path or go back to work. How to choose?
3. Okay. I think 3 years retreat and monastic life can be combined. Go to work, right? Go to work.
Or go back to work.
Go back to work. If you really want to work, better do it now, because after 3 years, you will need to update your computer really, really badly. Okay.
Thank you, Rinpoche. That's all.
Okay. So let's just continue. Before I go to the next Bardo, see this Bardo, what we are talking about, this Bardo. And the question, Dhyan. I really want to actually talk about this. Well, actually, this will also come, but since there was a question raised. Okay, so remember, I was saying this Bardo that we are experiencing now is perhaps the most important. And the reason why it's important is we have some sort of a control. You can, some sort of a Rangwang, sort of a freedom, kind of a. So, how do we make use of this dhyan? This life, this Bardo. Develop dhyan. What do we mean by that? Does not necessarily mean go and sit. No. This is something that I want to really emphasize. It could even be, is this all there is? There has to be something more. Even this awkward feeling is dhyan. Because you are questioning. There There is a quest. There is a longing for higher truth. This is dhyan. So you are making use of this bardo in a good way. Does not necessarily mean you shave your hair and become monk or nun or do chant this, chant that, or apply those can help. Those can be a frame. Those can be some sort of a direction. But more importantly, bringing this awareness. There is so many methods. For instance, like in the monasteries, in a monasteries, they have something called a yarne, which is going to come very soon, especially for the monastery that has many ordained monks. And usually when they do this yarne, a month and a half, or in Thailand or Sri Lanka or Burma, I guess maybe 3 months, when they do that, every day a disciplined master will have this stick. There's many, many sticks, and and they are counting the days. There's a counting the days. How much retreat? Not just a retreat. The disciplined master will say, this much stick is finished. This much stick is still left. And then he will say, of all the footprints, the mightiest and the most elegant footprint is the elephant's footprint. Of all the discursive thoughts, the mightiest, the most elegant discursive thought is the thought of impermanence. See, even downloading a picture of a Buddha, because you have the admiration towards this master who taught us the truth. Even, liking for noble truth, or anything to do with the truth, that is making use of this bardo fruitfully. This kind of angst, this kind of feeling lost, this kind of anxiety, in a way, you are having the anxiety, you are having this kind of angst, because the true color or the true nature of the bardo, remember, uncertainty, temporariness, that's kicking. That's why. That's why you have the angst. That's why you have the anxiety. It's there. It's a bit like, you can polish a charcoal and paint, but after paint white or yellow, but it still has its sort of black color, the charcoal color sometimes coming out, and then you quickly try to paint, conceal it. That we can do whenever there is a bit of a, that's what it is for, isn't it? Like shopping, social media, everything, music, friends. It's basically to numb your anxiety. But the anxiety will be there because that's its true color. This life that we have, it's like a, beer plumbing. It leaks, and then you can scotch tape it and paint something white on it, and looks perfect and looks really neat. But, sooner or later, again it leaks. So this process of painting, fixing, maintaining, either you spend all your, this Bardo, you spend all this Bardo fixing this unfixable. I mean, you can fix a little bit, temporary, that's fine. But thinking, remember I was telling your heart is ultimate, but the truth, remember? Thinking that you can fix it all, it's just not going to happen, is it? It's just not going to happen. So investing time, energy, even for a few moments of making use of this Bardo to bring the dhyan, concentration, awareness, mindfulness, is making use of, making fruitful of this Bardo. Okay? So the next one. This one, much more complicated. It's called Bardo of Dream. Okay, but first quickly, from the moment you start to dream until you wake up, that's the Bardo, obviously. But this one is complicated one. Because the paradoxy of this is quite interesting. The paradoxy of it's there but it's not there. It's very interesting. And because it's pushed and pulled and conditioned by this Bardo. This waking Bardo of waking, let's call it. This Bardo, we interact with people, whatever. And then not only that, childhood. Of course. Childhood trauma. Stuff like this. But that's as far as Mr. Freud could go. You ask Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, you ask Padmasambhava, childhood trauma, you have to go beyond that. Past life trauma. Past life trauma. So now you need the state-of-the-art psychologists who can actually dig 10,000 lifetimes before you may have, shoplifted or something. And that sort of itchiness to shoplift, or, like kleptomania, right? It's called kleptomania. Many of us, we have this, you feel really like, don't know what to do with it when you see these things. So these things, how do you deal with that? You need a state, like amazing psychotherapist. But yes, Mr. Freud goes all the way to childhood. That's quite impressive, actually. Quite impressive. But here, we are talking about dream Bardo, which has so much influence of this life, this Bardo, all the way to many, not only waking Bardo, but a dying Bardo, all of the put it together. Really, it's really interesting. Why the hell do you like dal makhni? If you really think about this, it's really, really just amazing why we decided to like dal makhni. Why? Or Russian borscht, whatever, doesn't matter. It's like, anyway, this is a bit of a difficult subject. If you want to study this more thoroughly, I would suggest you to study Buddhist subject called Abhidharma. That's where they study Kham. Kham is like a dhatu, the elements. And it's not just this life's elements. We are talking about different kinds of elements. There are so many, really, just so many. There's things that we like, things that we dislike, things that irritate us, things that makes us embarrassed, things that makes us proud. I mean, even within our human realm, what makes Bhutanists embarrassed makes Americans very proud. You know, what makes Americans feel embarrassed? I don't know, Indians might think it's a really great thing to do. It's all that. Anyway, right now we are talking about a dream. And the dream is a really interesting phenomena. Okay. Now, dream is complicated. Okay, interesting partly because in one way, you have a lesser control than this. Because you are sort of, it's not really you, sort of, right? If you win a lottery in the dream, the control to get that, it's going to be complicated. But on the other hand, the dream Bardo is also very, very unique and powerful. Because there you can take much more risk. If you fall from a cliff in the dream, you can train to realize in the middle of the flight, this is a dream. Then you decide, this is a dream. Let's just go to Chandigarh and have a look how that architect actually designed. You understand? So then you have more that. And what does this help? It helps you to understand that everything is illusory. Everything is a temporary. And what does that do? It makes you cling less, having less numbness, less, all the confusion. So this is why the dream Bardo, for the yogi, the dream Bardo, there's a whole dream yoga, they call it, dream yoga exercise that you can do. Which, by the way, I'm sure some of you are itching to know this. I will tell you, you can at least do one thing, which is actually the fundamental thing. When you go to sleep, you should, especially if you are a Mahayana practitioner, you should think, for the benefit of all sentient beings, to awaken all sentient beings, I am going to know I'm dreaming while I'm dreaming. Tell yourself this again and again. And maybe after about a week, you will dream, in the dream, thinking that I am going to know I am dreaming while I'm dreaming, but you still don't know. You only dream that you are chanting that. That's already a good start. And then there's many, many other tantric practice that you can do. But, okay. Okay, just some technical thing. What happens before the dream? This may bore some of you who are very new, but still it's kind of important information. So I will just say it. Just before the dream, this Bardo will have to dissolve. You can't really sort of have two things going on. Not right now. Once you become much greater, then yes, you can. But for most of us, this Bardo need to be dissolved. This is called, what do you call it? Sleeping like a log. Basically, you Your eye consciousness, you will not see things, right? When you sleep, you don't see, you don't hear, you don't taste. All your consciousness, eye consciousness, ear consciousness has to dwindle down, so to speak. And they will all of this will lie flat or calm down or touch. Okay, the Buddhist jargon, alaya is called. That's where it will come. Okay? Okay, it is possible that just that you continue for 6 hours. And it's called deep sleep, no dream. That's another subject. Sleeping yoga. We are not going to talk about it this time. But let's say everything dissolves into the alaya, but then lung dang sem. Lung means prana and sem means consciousness. You are still breathing. When you are dreaming, you are still breathing. So your body is functioning, your nadi is functioning, your prana is functioning. And because of that, nadi and the prana plus your consciousness, you will have perception in the dream. And then, wow, you will have all kinds of perception. And then the challenge with the dream is because it has order. In the dream, if you dreamt that you walk from Deer Park to the main road, there is going to be an order. I mean, by and large. In the dream, if you drink some water, your cup, the dream cup, will hold the water. This is a problem. Why? Because in the dream, if the water, dream water, and if the dream cup does not hold the water, then you will think, oh, why is that? But it doesn't. So in the dream, 4 plus 4 is still 8. It's not 9. All this makes it more complicated because you forget that it's dream. Oh, it's there. Now, just apply that to this. So right now, I think it's a real water because it's inside here and the cup is here and it's holding, it's doing its job. It's sensible. It's not chaotic. So this makes things much more real. The logic that you have learned from Oxford, you understand, really makes things real. Especially if you got a certificate. Then things have become even validated. Stamp. Chinese and Indians love it. They're dying for it, even in the dream. And this makes it so complicated. So complicated. Now, even worse than this, I will tell you, this is a really difficult one. In the dream, you actually dreamt I'm trying to remember. Okay, this may be a little bit politically incorrect, but this is the only thing I can think of. So I was in San Francisco about 10 years ago. Someone said, do I want to try DMT, right? Yeah? This DMT. I said, okay, why not? So, first, I I thought, I'm going to experiment this with my attendant. So I told him, okay, why don't you try this? He said, okay. So he took this, and immediately he fell. And then he got up, and then he was scratching his head and said, whatever, like he was saying, nobody should do this, that, just for 5 minutes. And then he came back to the sun. And then he was telling me, like, so many creatures came and took away his body, and all of it is so scary, he said. So he painted this bleak picture. Okay. Then I thought, oh, because I want to try this. What do I do now with this? So it was already quite late at night. So that, okay, I'm going to do it in the morning. So I kept it here and I slept. And that night, I dreamt. In the place, they have a dog, the actual dog. In wherever I was staying, there was this husky, the husky dog, very beautiful dog. So before going to bed, I was petting this dog. And anyway, I slept. And in my dream, I have my briefcase with a will. And I was mounted on the will. On the briefcase. And the briefcase has a handle. And this handle, the dog, the husky was dragging my, the suitcase on which I'm sitting. And then, it was in a big highway, and there was trucks coming, and the dog was going. And suddenly, the dog turned and talked to me, saying, because before I slept, I was kind of scared about this DMT. So the dog was telling me, how can you be so scared? Something like, I expected much better from you. Something like this. The dog said. Okay, this is true, by the way. I didn't make this up. There's much more. Anyway, the reason I'm telling you, this is in a way unbelievable. Me riding on my briefcase, and husky dragging, but during that time it was working. I was embarrassed that the dog was even looking down at me. You? How can you be so scared? I expected much better from you. I was feeling, oh yeah, that's true. All of this works. This is even more interesting. Remember, so now apply this to our life. In this life. This actually happens a lot in our life. So much. But anyway, what I'm trying to tell you is as your consciousness dissolve into the alaya, and then logical and quote, okay, illogical event happens in the dream. Now, if you're a great yogi, wow, this is a chance of a lifetime. You can really make use of this. This Bardo of the dream. Anyway, yeah. Meanwhile, you are never moved 1 inch from where you are. But you go through all the experience of fear, hope, anxiety, everything. What? Oh, yes. The next morning I did. That's just... By the time I think all the fun got lost, I have a feeling. What husky experience was, it took over. Really. It wasn't that, exciting, I guess. Here, just to read it, Dudjom Rinpoche's comment. Milam de pena Natsok tata juma da milam rashi sung tendra yinsang ansu milam de midember tamjeji chajagi or yintang de dember chajagur. That's see. Every time when you hear in the Buddhist teachings that everything is like an illusion, everything is like a dream, everything is like a mirage, I think tendency of students interpreting this as a negation is very high. But don't. It's not a negation. When the Buddhists say it's an illusion, it does not mean it does not exist. I mean, if you can tune your mind in learning, when the Buddhists say everything is illusion, basically what they are saying is it's a paradoxy. It's there, but it's not there. This need to be understood, because if you understood this, because if only when I was in that highway dragged by husky, and if I'm a great yogi, if I know that I was dreaming, I would tell the husky, shut up, what do you know? Or take me to New York, or whatever. Because it's there and it's not there. But I didn't have that confidence. So in the dream, I felt very low. Even the dog is beginning to talk to me like this. Okay, that's the second second Bardo of dream. I mean, we can come back to this. I just want to cover it all first, because I think the fourth and the fifth Bardo is what I guess many people are more interested. What happens up when I die? Like die as in, separation of this body. But in reality, we are dying all the time. We are having the Bardo experience all the time. So there's not much of a difference. But let me do the third one. Bardo of Samadhi. This one. It's a very big subject now. And it's altogether different universe. This universe? Bardo of now, Bardo of waking, and Bardo of dream, kind of a different world, right? Different universe. Related, very related. But Bardo of Samadhi is altogether different universe. Altogether different kind, but is related. But first, let's define the Bardo of Samadhi. Bardo of Samadhi is from the time you begin to from the time you are not distracted, till you are distracted. And that could be a moment. Right now, this very moment. Remember? Self-consciousness, self-awareness. crow, distracted. Constantly there's a distraction. So, Bardo of the Samadhi, again, much more complicated now, much more. But before I go to this, I want to tell you something. When I talk about Bardo of Samadhi, I'm sure you guys already, oh, Samadhi. That is what we need to have, isn't it? No, not at all, my dears. Samadhi is temporary, it's uncertain. Remember, all the Bardo character applies. It's just another tripping. This is a trip. You look at me, you have a trip. I look at you, I have a trip. Deer park trip, beer trip, this is a tripping. Of course a dream is a tripping. Samadhi, I'm sorry to say, but it's a tripping. But it's a very important tripping. It is. Anyway, this is probably something that we need to talk a little bit more. So, okay, how should we begin this? As long as you are not drifted, as long as you are not entangled, as long as you are not and this can happen in many different levels. It could come in a most subtle level, like the noise, crow, just the experience. We have experience, and experience are very tricky, because Samadhi experience is a progress, it's a reward. When you have an experience, bliss, whatever, calm. How many people wants to do meditation because they want to be calm? Don't tell this to an authentic yogi. They will think you have gone crazy. Because calmness is an experience. And experience is like a fish, bait. Experience is, yes, it is a reward. Yes, it is a progress. But the very reward and the progress is also your obstacle. It's easy to understand. If you go upstairs, one step, progress, different view. If you are stuck with that, thinking, aha, this is where I want to be, you are probably even more dangerous zone than the no step, because it is a progress. So the second step that you manage to climb, you should look at, this is from the mouth of the great masters from the Kyabje tradition. You should look at these progress as, you should treat them as the spit that you spit it on the roadside. Don't even look at it, how it landed on earth or how it is sitting there. Just don't look at it. Just go ahead, more. And then a big entanglement. Wow. Many times we are in the White House trying to sort out the problems in the world. This is how it should be done. They should talk like that. You understand? So we go through all that views and solutions and trying to confirm that by reading or watching those who what do you call like-minded people's comment. And then you get convinced with this. That's how you get distracted. But anyway, okay. So here is actually two kinds of Bardo. Okay, whichever you can come, which angle you want to choose is really up to you. Okay, but since we are talking about the Bardo of Samadhi, we are talking about from the time you are distracted all the way until you are awake, right? But from the other angle, you can say that the distraction is the Bardo, but we don't need to really explain this too much because that happened to be what we call life that we are having right now. The normal life, distraction. Moment you have awareness, that's a samadhi. Okay, the first Bardo, as a practice, what do you do? Remember, I said for the first Bardo, you need to cultivate this longing for the higher truth, so on and so forth. For the second Bardo, what do you have? Dream Bardo. You want to know it's a dream. That's your practice. But now, for the third Bardo, Bardo of Samadhi, what is your practice? There are many more, but one of the quintessential practice is to shrug off this Samadhi. Shrug off. This is more complicated, more advanced. So, you are meditating, you are going through a nice time, calm, peaceful, shrug it off. Spit, remember? Shrug it off. But millions of dollars is spent on doing vipassana just to do the opposite, not to shrug off. They want to dwell, calm. Just the sound of that music when the meditation begins, nobody plays like, what do you call it, hard rock just before the vipassana. What does this tell you? What does this tell you? They are arranging to not shrug off. They want you to. But I'm talking in a very, very advanced level, okay? For the beginner level, please, don't shrug off. Calm. Don't listen to, hard rock. Listen to, I don't remember those. Kitaro, is it? Who is that? There are like so many calm music. Yeah, lavender smells fantastic. Anything, chime, anything. You can. Because, is still better than roaming around and getting distracted, right? But since we are talking about the procedures of the Bardo, shrugging off is what you are supposed to do it. Okay, so this is the 3 Bardo, I think, I loosely, very, very, very roughly. I'm not doing this, of course, as usual, because of the time and everything. It's kind of an introduction. I'm not really covering everything. We have like 20 minutes. Should we do some question? Or we can also stop here if the sun is so hot, no, for the people. Question? Yeah, those who need to go, you can leave.
Hello, hi. I'm so happy to be here somehow. But do I need to shrug this off as well? Like all the teachings of Bardos, all that exists over here in the universe.
Yes, maybe you can do it in a slow motion. What do you think? Yeah, kind of.
So beautiful. So I had one question from the first characteristic of Bardo. That is Bardo of existence, if I'm not wrong. So I don't know if that would be relevant, but still I want to ask.
Please.
This is one of the lifetime opportunity to see you. That is the Dharma, giving a chance to have the control in the existence that we have. What should be the Dharma based on?
Very important question, I think. Well, typical Buddhists would say it should be based on wishing to know the truth. And then, of course, they already have the ready-made truth. Do you want to hear? Things like, all compounded things are impermanent, stuff like that. Everything is a dukkha. Nothing exists independently, so on and so forth.
But that's relative, you said.
Yes, very good, very good. And that's already good. This is how you should think. That's a relative, and then that's already shrugging off. Yes, that's... Here, Richard. I think he's going to ask me because I was making comment on Oxford.
Not at all, Rinpoche. Just on shrugging off again, if you're in samadhi and you shrug off, is that the same as questioning? Because shrugging off sounds a bit dualistic, like you'll have to actually determine to shrug off. So you're not really in samadhi then. So in a sense you're breaking...
No, actually there are many methods, especially the Sakyapas are very known for this. They even have a phrase called a phrase. Actually your master may even say, okay, let's say you're meditating, and if your meditation is kind of good, get up and watch Netflix. Because if you continue, you will use that as a reference for tomorrow's meditation. And that's a stupid thing to do, because you will never drink the same water.
Okay, so...
I'm from the same... Yeah?
So in the Mahayana Sutras, pretty much all of them have Buddha goes into a samadhi called blah, 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 and he gives a teaching.
Yes, shrugging off.
So is that's the shrugging off?
Yes.
So is the shrugging off conditioned by the samadhi?
For now. This is why the samadhi is also a placebo.
Oh, okay, very good. Thank you, Rinpoche. That's enough.
I was expecting some Oxford defense from us.
Rinpoche, hi.
Yes.
You said that Bardo of dream and Bardo of this light, they cannot coexist, right? When we go to the Bardo of dream, the Bardo of this life kind of collapse.
You mean this life, Bardo? Existence?
Yeah.
Okay.
But what about the Bardo of samadhi? Can they coexist with the Bardo of this life? Or we need to shrug it off?
No. Okay, now you're talking... Okay, so all this Bardo all these 6 Bardo can be practiced in one go. That is the yoga. Yes.
And how do you do that?
Oh, wow. Now that requires some answer. Yeah. Sadhanas, all kinds of things. Everything. Hearing, contemplation, meditation, everything. Probably DNTs. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyway, talking about DNTs, it's thanks to things like DNT. People like these guys, they come into the Dharma. Yes.
Hello, Rinpoche. I always feel like when I go to sleep, it's like a switch off button, and then I get up. Maybe I don't remember the dreams, or it never comes. So is it a good thing to have, or it's like I need to be as you said, the second Bardo, you need to keep on?
No, it's nothing good or bad. You just have that kind of, what they will call it is dhatu, meaning element. You are that type. Nothing bad, nothing. So it's like this. If you want to dream, there is methods to invoke the dream, but it's not because there is something lacking. In fact, let's say you are the type that who does not have dream or actual cognizable dream, then actually you will hear this more tomorrow during the Bardo of luminosity. So will you be coming here tomorrow? Okay. So maybe wait until then. Bardo of luminosity. This is a so important one. I think this is what many people want to also hear. Luminous. Yeah. Okay. From the Zoom. Okay.
So Rinpoche, one of the persons, Jamyang Wangchuk, he is asking, why do we only see the animal realm and not the other 4 realms?
Like ghost, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh. He should come to India. There's so many gods. And asuras also. Really, there's so many. And animal realm and asura, maybe.
Okay. Some questions on shamatha. So could we use shamatha to experience Bardo, and how?
Shamatha is a preliminary practice to, enhance and, progress the practice of Bardo. One could say that.
Caroline Souza asks, there were a few occasions in which I realized that I was dreaming. However, whenever that happens, I have to make an effort not to wake up if I want to try and practice. Is it because I lack shamatha practice?
No, I think I would suggest not to hope to keep on dreaming, because it doesn't matter if you wake up.
All right.
You will most probably sleep.
For a Vajrayana beginner, what is the best practice to do when near death?
Oh, near the death.
Yeah.
Okay, if she can listen also continuously from tomorrow for next 2 days, I think that there's a lot of that coming.
A few more questions on dream yoga. So I have had a few of these dream experiences where I know that I'm in a dream and I try to wake up, but somehow I can't wake up no matter what I do, even if I hit myself. So, Rinpoche, how can I wake up in the middle of my dream?
To wake up from the dream is not the most important. Might as well just use that occasion. Because when you wake up from that Bardo, you are again back to this Bardo. So, so not much of a,
Got it.
And if you can sort of, make use of that Bardo, probably, as I said, there's a much more, there are a lot of things that has a less risk, requiring much less padding. You can fall, still not get hurt, when you wake up to this one. Now this is important, what we are talking about. You wake up from the dream Bardo and you are back to this Bardo. You are waking up from the Samadhi Bardo and then we are into entanglement Bardo, which is this life, right? So, if you can understand the Buddhist concept of yang si, again exist. That's what it means, again exists. Basically translated as a reincarnation. I think reincarnation is not a good translation because I think the English word reincarnation is something to do with you already assuming there's a soul that's going from one to another. That is not really like that. It's not really like that. Okay.
Where does the power come from to get out of the Bardo?
There's a ready-made answer for that. From the great Lord Maitreya. The greatest power, greatest antidote, greatest medicine, greatest solution is your own buddhanature. Yes, bank onto that. You don't have to download this one. You don't have to, buy from anywhere. You have it. You really have it. This is what you need to use it. And how do we do it? By really giving chance to this. And how do you do this? Start from the shamatha. Just appreciate the self-knowing of the mind. Even for a moment, 2 moments, 3 moments. Self-awareness. Mind can do 2 things. It can do one thing, which we use quite a lot, which is knowing other things. But there are something else that mind does, which is much more valuable, which is knowing itself. And this is something that we never ever use. Give mind the chance. Yeah. Just because it's in my head, I need to express this. If you ask why the Tibetans are going, crazy with offering lamp offering, candles, butter lamp offering, it's something to do with this. They say that light can do things, it can illuminate others, but it also illuminate itself. Without it, you don't know it, you don't see it. So, light is the closest material thing that symbolize mind. This is why offering lamp. What is the word diya in Hindi? What does that mean?
Clay lamp.
Lamp?
Lamp.
Clamp?
Lamp.
Lamp. How do you say it in Bengali?
Pradeep. Yeah,
Pradeep.
Pradeep.
Okay. I've finished?
Few more. Is deep sleep kind of death? Like, is deep sleep like death?
Death is a very, very, very loose word. What do we mean by death? Let's be, if you read death, wow. If only, you see, this is the thing. Okay, I got it. I think scientists more or less buys that time is relative, including Mr. Einstein, right? But the moment they talk about death, they seem to totally forget that notion of time is relative. This is how I feel.
Okay.
If it is relative, then it can't be absolute end. Because relative is not absolute. So, death is a very big word. Tibetan word Tsendi Nawa Nup is a very beautiful word. Lasami? Nup. Nup means set. Sort of sunset. Nima Nup, we say. Tsedi Nawa Nup means that this life, this experience set, it has the connotation of is going to rise again. Tsendi Nawa Nup, sunset, meaning is going to rise after like 12 hours. Okay?
And the final one, I've dreamt of Rinpoche several times where you scolded this person for being impatient. How should he take this?
Wow. I resonate with this person. Please tell me. Okay,
Thank you,
that's it.
Rinpoche. Yeah, wonderful.
Okay, can you sing Pule Pule Dole Dole? I'm sure there are a lot of Bengali who will assist you. No?
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
Fule fule dhole dhole bahe ki bamri Dubai. Fule fule dhole dhole bahe ki bamri Dubai. Totini hillo lo tule kollo le choliya jai. Piko ki bakunje kunje kuhu 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 gai. Phule phule dhole dhole bahe ki bamri Dubai. Thank you.
Again, okay.
So somebody from the Zoom asked about a way out from the Bardo, and you said buddhanature. I wanted to ask if I dare, isn't buddhanature also a Bardo?
Yes, we will talk about during the luminosity. That's the whole thing about Bardo of luminosity.
Okay, thank you.
It is. What else? That's it? Okay.